This is a paid program. JJ Publicidad, EMR, and its owners and associates take no responsibility for the opinions or statements made by the talk show host or their guest.
Are you looking for awareness, motivation, inspiration, or just some feel-good talk radio? If so, you've come to the right place. Dr. Nancy knows how to do just that. With her extensive experience and knowledge, she is dedicated to providing care, health, and wellness information and education to the greater Phoenix metropolitan area and beyond. Be the change you wish to see in the world. Dr. Nancy knows. Starts now.
Good morning, everyone. I am your medical celebrity doctor, and this is Dr. Nancy Knows Radio Talk Show. How is everybody this morning? It's a little chilly in Arizona. It is that time of year to bundle up and have a cocoa or coffee and listen to the show today. We have Mark Winsor on the show today. He is prosperity law attorney, and he is going to share some tips on how best to do financial planning, estate planning, and what it really means to be a prosperity lawyer. So stay tuned for our next segment. Mark is going to share all of that information, and we're going to get to know who he is and who's been instrumental in his life. So listen, I'd like to welcome everybody to the show. As you know, we do have guests that are experts in their field of industry once a week to come on and just shed some information on what they're doing in the community and how best that they can help all of us and our viewers here. Along with each month, we do have a celebrity guest as well. And, our guests aren't just anyone. They have to be really actively giving back in the community because, as you know, Dr. Nancy Knows Radio Talk Show is all about that. Be the change that you wish to see. It only takes one, the power of one. We are here also at Dr. Nancy Knows Radio Talk Show, are multicultural, and we bridge the gap of disparity and bringing our nations together and unite. Now, I'd like to also let you all know that we are live streamed on most social media platforms here at eMotion Radio, Facebook Live, Dr. Nancy Knows, Facebook Live, YouTube, and drnancyknows.com. I'd like to thank our sponsors, eMotion Radio, an affiliate of Entre Mujeres. We are also on TuneIn and Spotify every Saturday morning at 9. I'd like to also thank Maggie's Makeup. If you like my makeup today and every Saturday morning, Maggie Gorin is available as well. She's a part of Dr. Nancy's Integrative Medicine team, and she will make you look fabulous for any event that you may have, whether it's a wedding, a quinceañera, or a special event that you would like your makeup done. She's fabulous. If you're interested, you can always give us a call at 480-669-6452. I'd like to thank RN Electric. Thank you, guys. Profit Laser Lipo, Gary Charlson. Thank you. Sonora Oral Facial Surgery, our folks down there in Gilbert, Arizona, Lynn and Peter. Activist, that is genomics. It's gene expression supplementation. We'd like to thank Coco Rodriguez and David Brown there as well. Thank you, thank you. So let's move on to current events. What's happening in our nation? Well, now, COVID is very prevalent. It's impacted our nation in the gravest way, but I do believe in the human race. We are very resilient, and I think that coming together is the best thing that we need. Our nation is hurting, and we're here to give you hope, motivation, and inspiration. And listen, we believe in you. I believe in you. Current statistics. There's been over 23 million cases of COVID in our nation. 389,000 have died from COVID. That's within the United States. So worldwide, over 93 million have had COVID, and over 2 million have perished with COVID worldwide. Now, the vaccine. Let's talk a little bit about the vaccine. There's been lots of news about the vaccine and how it's being rolled out and all the different phases as well. There's 1 through 3 phases. One has multiple parts, but in a nutshell, it is to be given access to our first responders. Shout out to our nurses and doctors that are on the first line, and EMT and firefighters. They have access to the vaccines initially first, our elderly, then our immunocompromised individuals, and then our restaurant workers and essential personnel, so bankers, that sort of thing. And then phase 3. Phase 3 is for the general population. Now remember, the vaccine is proposed to initially allow your body to stimulate IgG, immunoglobulin G antibodies. Now that is the antibody believed to develop resistance or immunity to COVID. Phase 3. Pfizer vaccine and Moderna are vaccines that need to be specially kept in a freezer. And Dr. Nancy's Integrative Medicine has applied to the state to have access to that vaccine to roll that out when the states do say that phase 3 is available. So stay tuned for more information on that. Now, those particular vaccines are going to be offered in a 2-step process. We are working as a nation to get that vaccine out to as many people as we can. And President-elect Biden wishes to, he's proposed approval to the Congress to have a goal of 100 million vaccines out within his 100 days in office. Let's hope that, that we can do that as a nation and we come together and get the vaccine out so that we can cut down on these numbers of COVID, right? And so we need to do our own due diligence as well, practicing social distancing, hand washing, and covering your face at all times. Now, COVID, I do want to tell you that it's still mutating in many cases or in many states across our nation as well. But the scientists do believe that the vaccine is enough to build immunity up with this particular strand as well. More current events, moving on. Did you know that student loans has, the government has taken a pause to student loans. So individuals that have student loans are going to be given a break for, I think they say, about 6 months of relief. And this new elected team for the nation, our leaders, are actually proposing that there's going to be a $10,000 forgiveness for student loans. So we do need all the help that we can get. Our nation is suffering, as well as the eviction of landlord relief. So that's been extended as well. And so maybe Mark Winsor can shed some light on that when he comes up on our next segment as well, because bankruptcy and these kinds of things are imminent in our nation. But I think the more that you're prepared and the more knowledge that you have in this area, can be most helpful in your time of need as well. New year, new you, right? So let's talk a little bit about what that means. Some of you may make resolutions. Others may find, just having a sense of resolve and being a better person this year. And some individuals even choose a word that is a highlight for their year. And, last week's episode, I debuted my word, ignite. And I have multiple irons in the fire. I wish to do many things, and God has blessed me to have the capability. And ignite this year is going to be phenomenal, as I wish that all on to you all as well. And make yourself a priority. Here at Dr. Nancy Knows Radio Talk Show, if you don't put yourself first, then it's effective in all relationships. Whether that's personal or professional. So make yourself a priority and treat yourself. Invest in your health. Dr. Nancy's Integrative Medicine has health screenings available as well. And the beginning of the year is always a great time to know what your health status is. And that health screening includes a physical examination and routine blood work to evaluate your status for cholesterol problems, potentially diabetes as well, and to see how well your liver and kidney functions are doing. So purchasing great supplements. We did have Dr. Sharzad Green on the show last week and talked about a number of supplements that you could take to actually help with depression, anxiety, sleep as well, hormonal imbalance. Great supplements. It's not about the quantity of a supplement, but it's about the quality of supplement. So invest in yourself, and thereby it increases your wealth. We'll have a segment up toward the end of the segment, and it's increase your awareness, thereby increasing or boosting your health and wealth. Hold yourself accountable. So when you make goals, short-term and long-term, tell someone so that, when you do see them, they can ask you about them. And it's so much more than self-discipline, but it's the relationships that you build and the people that you interact with as well. Find ways to give back and volunteer. We do have Martin Luther King Day coming up on Monday, and his mission has been always to do good and find a cause to believe in. And I know that we do live in different times and circumstances, and with COVID, we do have to move very wisely and carefully. But there are other ways, that you can give back. Virtual assistance, Zoom and Meetup, and there are all different types of virtual platforms that you can check in on people as well. And keeping your distance, check on your neighbors and the elderly. Those are all wonderful things to give back on, yes. The other thing that most people find that they need to do and improve on at the beginning of the year is their health and their fitness level too. So we do have at Dr. Nancy's Integrative Medicine ProFit Laser Lipo, where you can lose up to 2 inches in 20 minutes, no downtime, surgery, or pain. And if you're interested, you can always find out more at drnancy'sintegrativemedicine.com. But it's always a great way to not just hone in on one thing, but multiple things to improve on your overall health and wealth as well. I did discover this week that Comcast.com, Comcast is a local internet service provider, is giving back for individuals because, schools are not open to, be in person, and a lot of these platforms are all virtual. Comcast is offering facilities, granting them internet access so that individuals, students, can have access to their educational platforms. And if you wanted to know more information, you can go to Comcast.com/education lift program. That's LIFT program. And they supply facilities with internet access for education. So how wonderful is that? It really doesn't take much to provide hope, to provide inspiration or motivation at the end of the day. And that's what we're here to do. And I know that I believe in you. I believe in us as a nation. And together, united, we'll make a difference. I believe that very much to be true. Listen, up next is going to be Mark Winsor, and he is with Winsor Law Group, and he's going to give us some great information on, one, not only who he is and how he's come to be, but also on ways to improve on your health. We'll be right back.
You don't want to miss what's coming up next because Dr. Nancy knows. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Hello, I'm your celebrity medical doctor, and this is Dr. Nancy Knows Radio Talk Show. We are looking for expert guests in their field of industry to include, but not limited to, finances, senior living, real estate, hospitality, entertainment, nonprofit. If this sounds like you, we want to hear from you. You can reach us at drnancyknows.com and fill out the form to be considered. Remember, it's not only what Dr. Nancy knows, but it's who she knows. Hi, I'm Dr. Nancy. Welcome to our clinics. We believe that personalized care and relationship building are the basis of improving health outcomes. At Dr. Nancy's Integrative Medicine, you gain healthcare providers who take the time to understand your health goals and find solutions. We offer optional medical memberships, giving you peace of mind and quality care. We provide both medical and aesthetic services in 2 Arizona locations. We practice the highest standards of patient care. We respect patients' rights. We safeguard patient confidences. We treat patients with compassion. You are invited to call the office to schedule an appointment or online at a time that is convenient for you. Call to schedule 480-669-6452 or visit our website at drnancysintegrativemedicine.com. Hello, this is Dr. Nancy's Integrative Medicine. We are offering health screening examinations to include a physical examination and blood work, such as CBC, chemistry, lipid panel, and A1C for $199, valued at $600 to the first 10 people who call 480-669-6452 or schedule online at drnancysintegrativemedicine.com by January 15th.
You're listening to Dr. Nancy Knows Radio Talk Show. Ask your questions now. Dr. Nancy is listening.
Good morning. Welcome back. Welcome back to Dr. Nancy Knows Radio Talk Show. We are so happy to have you here. I am super excited to introduce you to our next guest today. He's an expert in his field of industry, and it is Mark Winsor. Mark Winsor, he is a prosperity law attorney with a background in business, real estate, and financial services. And he's been an entrepreneur for over 42 years. And he's created and developed and directed a business in financial services, international trade and distribution, and professional services. He is a licensed attorney, a realtor, and a financial advisor. He's also, listen guys, he's also a veteran, and he's been he's served many years in the Army National Guard and the Air National Guard. And he took a 2-year sabbatical in ministry in Norway. I'm so honored to welcome Mark Winsor.
Thank you. I appreciate being here today, actually. Very grateful to be here. I've watched some of your shows, and I think you're doing a great thing for the community.
Thank you. And I likewise think that you're doing a wonderful job in what you're doing. So many people, I think that so important to have these components in your life. So a great financial advisor, a great lawyer, a great health provider, and sound mentor. Those things in your life are priceless.
Well, it's interesting when people go over my bio and they talk about how long I've been doing what I've been doing and some of the experiences I've had, it makes me feel like I'm a little older than I am. But I started young. I started my first business in 1978 at only age 18. And I also see the picture that comes up there with no beard. I typically don't have a beard, but recently moved to Kentucky, and it's cold. I'm not used to that. It makes the cheeks a little cold. So I said, all right, for the winter, we're going beard.
Wow. So you're practicing in Kentucky now as well?
Well, I've not moved my law license there, but I've put all my financial business there. And I still, of course, what we learned during COVID is it doesn't matter where I'm sitting with Zoom and GoToMeeting and telephone. And I actually have as close a relationship with my clients over the last few months being in Kentucky as I did when I was right here. So
that's amazing. I've heard those stories before about the unity that COVID has brought many families in relationships, because they've thought outside the box, and they've used other means of communication and found it to be great.
Isn't that true in any time we have a challenge in our life, anytime we have a great catastrophe, either personally or in our community, there are ways to turn that into a blessing, turn it into a strength, into an experience that can make us better. One thing we do as a family, every Sunday at 4 o'clock Kentucky time, no, 4 o'clock Arizona time, so 6 o'clock Kentucky time, we have a Zoom meeting, well, a go-to meeting with all my 6 children and our grandchildren, and you know, it just taught us as a family, we a little spread out, we'd be even closer. We learned that because of these horrible pandemic that we've experienced. At least helped us as a family say we can use these resources and tools to get close together.
That's really great. So yes, again, I believe in the human race, and we are definitely resilient. And when we're faced with challenge, we definitely can overcome. So that's very, very important. So I know that you're a man of faith, and you give back. You volunteer. You belong to a number of organizations as well. Tell us a little bit more about you.
Well, I have over the years. In fact, the most recent, we decided to sell our home, and we moved into a part of Arizona and lived there for a little over a year that most people with my degrees and experience in professions, they wouldn't move into that area. But we wanted to be right in where we could serve, right in where we could get to know those who are struggling with drug addiction and mental illness and poverty. Interesting, the poverty mentality is can be changed. It can be changed if a person gets the right mentors, the right environment around them. So we spent a little over a year in that community, and it was better than joining an organization. It was better than just showing up to volunteer for a Saturday somewhere. We really were able to roll up our sleeves and get to know people as they really are.
That's really important as well, and I think that's with anything. If you really want to know the environment, you need to immerse yourself in that culture.
Yeah, and we've had opportunities. We've been very blessed with opportunities to serve both in our church and in the community. I sit now on the Religious Liberty Board with the State Bar of Arizona. I represent a wonderful organization, the Arizona Association of Black School Educators, helping those who've been held back because of their environments and helping them exceed with education. We've helped, again, much in the addiction communities. You mentioned Rotary. That was actually some time ago in Scottsdale, but I first joined in Norway. I joined Rotary back in, 1985, something like that in Norway.
Well, notaries are notorious for giving back. And
I said notary. I meant Rotary. Did I say notary?
No.
I think I said notary, but it's Rotary Club.
Yes, definitely, absolutely. And you mentioned, as I do as well, mentors are so important along your journey. And can you tell us a little bit about you? I mean, I know that you're a loving husband, father, grandfather, and who were your role models?
That's a great question. More important than what we achieve in life as far as business or possessions or career, I believe are the relationships we create. And a mentorship isn't merely a role model to succeed in some area of life. A mentorship is to help someone become their very best self. So my best role model, of course, is the only one that's ever been perfect on earth, is Jesus Christ. That's my role model I turn to. I study the scriptures every day, trying to learn more about how to become more Christ-like. It's tough as a human being to do that. And then those that he's used. There's a doctor, Dr. Russell M. Nelson, who is one of my great role models. He's now a religious leader, but for many years he was a very innovative and talented heart surgeon and now a religious leader. You mentioned, as we were visiting prior to the show, Dr. Martin Luther King. I actually study him a lot. I'm so impressed. We live in such divisive times, and I go back and watch some of those interview clips with Dr. Martin Luther King, and some of the questions would be very provocative and almost want to put him in a bad light. And he answered it so those questions he would answer so gracefully and with great. He got his message across, but he was very kind.
Well, that's a really great lesson as well. And when there's adversity, you sprinkle kindness on it, and you can still be heard, and you can get your point across.
Absolutely. I don't think in society that it's important that everybody agrees, because we wouldn't get different viewpoints. I think the very act of discussing with someone different viewpoints when someone's not coming together in an agreement is healthy and good. But it should be done with respect and kindness and a desire to understand the other side, even if it's a position that you completely disagree with. The act of trying to understand even helps you understand why you believe what you believe.
That's exactly right. Clarity, definitely. I think that, there's nothing like relationship building and bonding, and you grow from it as well. So great. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, tell us about viewers. We do welcome questions. And if you have any questions on estate planning, financial, prosperity law, please, please, please post your questions on our Facebook Live. And we will have Mark try and answer them right on the show. So get those ready, because we're going to get to know Mark a little bit better and be able to answer those questions on our next segment or toward the end of this one as well. Thank you. Okay, wonderful. I love your mentor. Love that, love that. How about lessons learned? Anything that you'd like to share with our viewers about your growth along your journey, lessons?
Well, many. I've turned 60 years old, and I look back and would I do things differently? Absolutely. If anybody wouldn't, then they need to re-examine their lives. We all make mistakes. We all have weaknesses. From a prosperity standpoint, I've learned that we need money. We need material things. We do. You can do a lot of good with material things, but never spend more than you bring in. Never stretch yourself. Never believe that something you want is something that you need, and prioritize tucking aside so that you can be useful and to bless others. So I've learned that the hard way over time. It doesn't take someone much Googling to find out that I've had a very long and interesting business life doing various things, and not all of them were successful. And so I've learned to be focusing more on needs in others than my wants and desires.
Very good.
Wish I would have learned that earlier.
Well, but you did. And if you fail, you get up and you try again. And the common theme here on the show, Dr. Nancy Knows Radio Talk Show, is persevere. Persevere. Get up. Try it again.
I'll share something interesting that if a person perseveres in self-improvement, then failures become learning experiences. And they harm us sometimes mentally for a short time, emotionally. That is true. But if a person each day focuses on their self-improvement, focuses on become a better person the next day, then every experience can be a building block towards that. Every morning when I get up, without fail, I go to either YouTube or something like that, and I put on something that's going to bless my life and get my mentality straight, get my spirit straight, and strengthened and straight at the same time. And that process is one of the things that has put me in a position to bless others as I've been blessed to do.
That's really wonderful. Okay, now, for individuals that are looking and aspire to follow in your footsteps or do something like that because they're contemplating their career paths, and I know military life initially for you, and you've aspired and grown into other things as well. What would your advice be?
Find a good mentor. I'm mentoring right now those who want to be entrepreneurs and helping them understand how to do that and begin part-time and get into full-time. And I love mentoring, but find a good mentor, somebody that you believe in, not just because they're successful in the field you want to go, but they're the type of person you would like to become. And so that's the number one. And then the perseverance you talked about. Hey, nothing in life comes easy that's worth doing. You don't become successful sitting on the couch eating ding-dongs and ho-hos and hoping that some door opens up and you win the lottery or something. I've had clients who have won, by the way. Not the lottery. I've had them that's won in Vegas. And I remember the very first one. He came into my office. This was, again, I went to law school later in life, so I was already in my 40s and a relatively new attorney. And he came into my office and had won a great sum of money in Las Vegas. And I was helping him do the estate planning, the trusts, and those types of things. And I had, as you know, a financial advising background as well, so I was giving him all the advice. He had all the advice he needed. And he's in my office about 2 years later, brokered in a dead skunk.
Wow.
It's success isn't what you have, it's what you become.
That's profound.
In fact, we can talk about legal principles.
Yes.
I think people should have a living trust. It's true. Most everybody. Not everybody, but most people. People should look at asset protection. People should talk about the financial side. They should save money. They should have good, sound investments. And all of those things are true. But it starts with the habits of day to day. All of those things every one of those starts with a habit. A habit of doing, a habit of planning, a habit of keeping your affairs in order, a habit of saving some money, a habit of not spending more than you earn. All those things are habits. And a person can start working on habits, one little habit at a time, each day, if they focus on that process, if you will.
Wow, I love it. Habits may allow you to prosper. Very good. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about asset protection then too as well. And it's very, very important. I know that I recently have had my meeting with my financial advisor, and finances aren't taught in school, and if you don't get it at home, you get it through life experiences, and it's not always so pleasant, right? Because you wake up and you've not planned ahead for the future. And I was told that follow the 70-30-20 rule, and 20% goes to paying down your debt, and 30 for savings, and then 70 for your life expenses. But yeah, things like that are very helpful.
It's interesting too that many people feel that they don't need an asset protection plan or an estate plan or a financial plan because they're not wealthy. And that mentality will prevent them from becoming wealthy. Each person should sit down and look at where they are and start dreaming a little bit and planning a little bit of where they want to become, and those things take plans. You mentioned asset protection. I teach an asset protection workshop that's about 3 hours long. And in there, we start out with simple principles, very simplistic thoughts. In fact, I teach regularly, financial prosperity workshops, how money works type workshops. In fact, any of your listeners want a free book, just let Dr. Nancy know. I've got it's got cartoons in it so everybody could enjoy it, a little How Money Works book. I'm not the author, but one of my mentors, Tom Matthews, is a co-author on that book, How Money Works, and very popular books, over 500,000 sold already. It was just written, I think, less than a year ago.
How do the viewers get it if they want this book?
I'll send it to them for free as long as they give me a mailing address, and I'll get it to them for free. And you can find me by just Googling Mark Winsor. It's easy to find me.
Awesome.
But those principles are so basic. I mentioned there's cartoons in it because the principles of success for asset protection, estate planning, financial planning, we were talking about mental health, which goes in there, right?
Absolutely.
Physical health, mind, body, spirit, those things that I heard on one of your shows I deeply believe in. Those things are not complicated. None of that stuff is complicated. It's hard because we're human beings. It's hard, but not complicated.
Well, it's called discipline as well.
Discipline. Isn't that a hard word?
Discipline, to be consistent with habits, that will beneficially allow you to prosper over time, but it doesn't happen overnight.
No, and they do go together. If a person lacks discipline in their health, in their eating habits, it spills over. My wife and I had started this staying healthy lifestyle a number of years ago, and it changed our lives. And then about 2 or 3 years ago, we started slipping. You know, we would justify. I love cookies, so we would justify cooking. And that was the start of a down. And so we had a period of time where we had sugar controlling us instead of us controlling sugar, right? And I again had to experience what I've experienced many times in my life. Getting back on track on any area of our life is harder than staying on track. And so I just urge us all, including myself, that when you are on a good path, try to stay on it. And if you're not on a good path in any area of your life, start the path today. Don't wait. Start immediately. Procrastination will kill you as bad as you mentioned perseverance. Procrastination will kill you worse than not persevering because you won't even get started.
Well, those are very good points, and it's a great time to initiate all of these things if you've not been doing them, and or if you are doing them, to even just fine-tune this process. The beginning of the year, start anew. You want prosperity? Practice discipline. Practice good habits. Health is your wealth. It's what we talk about all the time here on Dr. Nancy Knows Radio Talk Show. So very, very good. It's you can never hear this too many times. And surround yourself with like-minded individuals that edify you and you them, and great mentors. That's phenomenal. Okay, so listen, guys, how to get the book called How Money Works. You can contact Mark Winsor himself. The telephone number is listed below, and the Winsor Law Group as well. You can contact them with supplying your contact information to get that book out to you. And it's simple and easy to understand the laws and some concepts on building wealth.
It really is. I love that you mentioned surround yourself. We moved to that area that I mentioned earlier and surrounded ourselves with those who think differently than us about money and about health. It's interesting how many of the poor in finances are poor in health. And we did that, but we also had to be careful to continue to surround ourselves with those who have the higher level of thinking about their health and their wealth as well, because the temptation is you tend to slide towards each other. So I do encourage everyone to serve those who are not to the level they are in whatever area of your life, right? Everybody's got different strengths. Wherever your strength is, I do encourage you to reach and pull up to you those that need your help. But don't forget to always be reaching up, not just to Christ, but to reaching up to those human beings on earth that can lift you up and keep that balance.
It's so important, balance, personal and professional. We strive for balance, and it's unhealthy to be off balance. And you're right. If you have strengths, help individuals. And then for you, it's important that you make yourself a priority and know what your needs are, and you reach out to get that help as well.
Now, here we go, though, on the balance. Just may as well let everybody know that it's easy to sit on a show and talk about it, but my life's not always balanced. It's rarely balanced. I struggle like every other human being with figuring that out. I think the struggle's good. I think part of the richness of life is struggling. So don't condemn yourself or beat yourself up because you're saying, Dr. Nancy's got a perfect life and Mark Winsor may have a perfect life. No, that's not the case. The case is our desires of where we want to go, not that we don't struggle to get there.
That's oh my goodness, that's absolutely right. Stressors of the world and just life in general, it's not easy. It is not easy. But you surround yourself with good faith and good people. And every day is another day to get it right. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. We're not perfect. And so don't be so hard on yourself. Learn to forgive yourself. Learn to forgive yourself. And then listen, we're out of time for this segment. And remember, it's not only what Dr. Nancy knows, but it's who she knows. And we'll be back with Mark Winsor.
You don't want to miss what's coming up next because Dr. Nancy knows. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Hello, I'm Dr. Nancy of Dr. Nancy's Integrative Medicine. Did you know that my health screenings include a physical examination, also blood work to include CBC, chemistry, liver function studies, lipid panel, and A1C? Your blood work is drawn in our offices. Results are available in 3 to 5 days. Call today, 480-669-6452, or schedule online at drnanciesintegrativemedicine.com. Hi, I'm Dr. Nancy. Welcome to our clinics. We believe that personalized care and relationship building are the basis of improving health outcomes. At Dr. Nancy's Integrative Medicine, you gain healthcare providers who take the time to understand your health goals and find solutions. We offer optional medical memberships, giving you peace of mind and quality care. We provide both medical and aesthetic services in 2 Arizona locations. We practice the highest standards of patient care. We respect patients' rights. We safeguard patient confidences. We treat patients with compassion. You are invited to call the office to schedule an appointment or online at a time that is convenient for you. Call to schedule 480-669-6452 or visit our website at drnanciesintegrativemedicine.com. Hi, I'm Dr. Nancy of Dr. Nancy's Integrative Medicine. I'd like to tell you about a service that I offer, ProFit Laser Lipo. Did you know that you could lose up to 2 inches in 20 minutes, no downtime, pain, or surgery? 8 sessions are recommended for maximum results. Call today, 480-669-6452, or schedule online at drnanciesintegrativemedicine.com.
You're listening to Dr. Nancy Knows Radio Talk Show. Ask your questions now. Dr. Nancy is listening.
Good morning. Good morning. We are back with Mark Winsor, Prosperity Law, Winsor Law Group here in Arizona, Phoenix. And he is gracing us with his presence to give us his wisdom and expertise on increasing your wealth. So it's wonderful, wonderful. We welcome your questions. So please feel free, if you have any questions, you can text us on eMotion Radio, Facebook Live, or Dr. Nancy Knows Facebook Live. Questions, we do welcome them. Now, we did talk about protection, asset protection, and how important that is to have. We also talked about how Mark is giving away a book on some key concepts on wealth, and it's called How Money Works. And you can visit his website there and click on his contact page. He offers courses as well, and workshops on many things that's to build your wealth over time. What a wonderful opportunity. And remember, this is all accessible via the internet. This is internet radio. We're locally, nationally, and internationally. So remember, we're not limiting information and awareness. I'm just so grateful to be able to bring guests that are experts in their field of industry to give information that you typically have to pay for. So how great is that? This is truly a blessing, and I'm so grateful to have you, Mark.
I'm grateful to be here, Dr. Nancy.
Awesome. Now, listen, guys, we want to talk about some of the other expert areas that Mark practices, and estate planning is one, and probate. Where would you like to begin?
Well, I guess estate planning is where people should begin before probate, don't you think?
Yes, yes.
Nobody enjoys the probate process. Nobody wants to think of their family, or not, I shouldn't say nobody, very few want to think of their family having to go through the emotional and financial strain of probate. I think most people recognize that probate is not a fun experience. But most people don't think through doing their planning ahead of time. And it is expensive. In fact, at some law firms and where I used to be, Around the valley, it's $1,800, $2,400, $3,600 for a proper estate plan if it's done right. And for years, I charged $2,400 for that plan. But we developed an online hybrid, so you still get me, you still get my expertise, but you have to watch a couple of videos, fill out a questionnaire. It's $895. So $895 for the entire estate planning package. I love your face when notice how she recognized that was a good deal.
Yes, wow.
And it's been wonderful. Those who we've had already use that system over the last year since we developed it, it's just been fabulous. They get the same end result, the same hand care by me, but they pay a lot less for that. A good estate plan is wider in its view than just a will or a trust.
Thank you.
It's got to incorporate what happens if I live too long, so that's the financial side. What happens if I have some unfortunate event, so I've got some creditors after me? It's the asset protection side, the insurances and protections and those types of sides as well, that I think some of the best asset protection concepts out there have to do with insurance. So it's like what you do in medicine, right? It's not just coming in and getting a pill or a shot. It's the holistic approach you take in medicine is the same holistic approach a person should take in their financial life.
That's really great information. And in that service, estate planning, does that include like trusts?
Yeah, so that $895 package is a will or two wills if it's a couple. Right?
Wow.
A living trust, which is the foundation of a good estate plan for most people, a certification of trust, which is needed in Arizona, a power of attorney for each person, that's important, a durable power of attorney for finances, a healthcare power of attorney, which is very important, as you know, a living will. People don't think through that, especially when they're young, but a living will is very important to have in there. An assignment, which is an extra document necessary. Funding. If you get all this put together and you don't fund it, meaning you make sure that your assets are put in it and controlled by it and those types of things, it's not worth the paper that it's. Well, I shouldn't say that because the wills do put it in there, so it's worth the paper, but it's still going to have to go through a probate process to get in the trust. So if you want to avoid probate, you got to make sure the assets, and so we counsel and help about making sure that happens as well. That's all in the $895 package.
Well, that's a steal, actually. I didn't know your price, and I didn't exactly know how much or all of the things that were included in that estate planning, and that's remarkable. And I do believe that, particularly entrepreneurs that have businesses and they do estate planning, it can protect their business as well.
It can on the estate planning side. Now we use other tactics to protect their business from creditors or those types of things. And it's interesting that we immediately think of business owners, the wealthy, they do need it. I'm not discounting that they need what I do, and then those are a lot of my clients. But when we started thinking about these online hybrid trust packages about a year or so ago, my wife and I and my personal assistant, who's my oldest daughter, Christine, my desire was, how do we reach those who really need it? And I'm going to describe who that is. Because it's a group that they don't think they need a living trust. They don't think they need an estate plan or a financial plan because they're just busy in life. But picture this. If you've got a young couple with 1 or 2 or 3 little kids, and one of them dies in today's society, they rely on each other's income. One of those incomes taken away, we're going to have some financial hardships. It's just a fact of the matter is that Americans most of them have not planned right. They don't have enough money coming in. They spend too much, and so they rely on both incomes. One income goes, there's huge troubles. How do you solve that? Short answer is life insurance. More life insurance than people think they need, because if you've got a little $100,000 or $200,000 policy and you're making $80,000 a year, that policy is not going to last your spouse. I mean, it's just not going to do that. So if they have the right amount of life insurance, and each of them have it in case one of them dies, the other one's taken care of. What happens if both of them die at the same time and they got 2 or 3 little kids? That life insurance, a big amount, it will take financially care of the kids, but it will be drugged through probate till those kids reach age 18.
Wow.
And so you're going to have this miserable long period of time, and then when the kids reach age 18 and it's been properly taken care of during probate, so they've got this large lump sum at age 18. They get it as a large lump sum. Now, any parent who's raised an 18-year-old, you ought to know that's a bad idea. A living trust helps you plan ahead and say, no, I don't, like my trust does not give everything. Now, my kids are now older than that. They still don't get lump sums. It's because I have a 21-year-old, a 25-year-old, 26-year-old, and then the others over 30. But those younger ones, I love them, I trust them. But look, they're just not as experienced in life yet, so they're not going to get big lump sums in my trust till they're 30.
Wow.
And then if somebody has I love that show, as we mentioned earlier, about the addictions. If somebody has an addiction, even if they're in recovery, even if they've been clean for years, a big lump sum of money is not a good thing typically for them, And a living trust can take care of that, make sure they have what they need and what's good for them, but not the lump sums that will make it difficult for them.
Well, that's so important and informational. That's amazing because the estate planning provides power of attorney from the health side of things, and then from a spousal side of things as well, and then it allows a better financial picture for your loved ones in the event if a tragedy happens. That's really amazing. It falls right in line with financial literacy, estate planning. It's so important.
We suffer from a horrible health pandemic that's getting cleaned up. I think we're at the tail end of it personally, but it was hard. But we have a worse pandemic that we're suffering from, and people don't think about it, and it's the illiteracy, financial illiteracy pandemic, and it is real. Most Americans, if they missed one paycheck, they're in trouble. They miss 2 or 3, they're in my office talking about bankruptcy options. And the key is to start right away with some kind of plan to save some money and in places where you're not tempted to touch it all the time. Do you realize that most people think that they have to have hundreds or thousands of dollars to start a good investment plan with an exchange-traded fund or something like that? But we've got good, strong, powerful investment funds that I've got clients putting $100,000 plus into that you can start, listen to this, for $10. $10. And don't tell me somebody didn't have $10. You can be the most broke person in the world. We were serving those who were homeless, and they'd come to me and want help and those things, and we'd say, well, you got to earn some too. Go wash my car and I'll give you $10. Everybody can earn $10, once a time in a month or something. And that habit, if a person is doing $10 a month, they can then get confident and start doing $10 a week. If you can do $10 a week, you increase it to $20 a week and $30 a week, $40 a week. Pretty soon, you're saving a lot each month, and you don't even feel it as much because it's a weekly amount.
Again, really great information because people often look at a bigger picture, and sometimes that goal is too big and they become self-defeated. Yeah. I know that I've been in that same situation as well, but you break it down so eloquently and so simply, as much as $10 a month, and when you can do and give more, you do, but you have to start.
I remember the first client that again, I'd been a financial advisor in the 90s and went to law school in 90, I think 6 or 7, you'd have to look it up, I don't remember, something like that. And graduated in 2002 because I went part-time. And I remember when I was starting to get my financial advising licenses back, I had a client come in that had gone through a horrible divorce, had lost all of her savings in that process, and debts. She still had debts from that from before and that process, and it looked bleak. And back in the workforce, and had been out of the workforce, and so she was just really struggling. Mark, how do I survive? And so we talked about budgets and the snowball effect to get out of debt and all those types of fundamental things. And I said, look, if you follow these principles, you can be in such and such, and I can't remember, 5 or 6 or 7 years, you can be out of debt and finance. She was amazed. And so then I said, now let's start a savings program. And she looked at me like I was from Mars. She said, what do you mean? She said, Mark, you've spent this time with me. You know my situation. You know I can't afford to save anything. I said, listen, could you come up with $10 a month? And then she looked at me like I was loony. She said, what does $10 a month have to do with anything? I said, it's the habit. It's the habit. And I watched that young lady transform her life over the next few years, starting with $10 a month.
That's so impactful. So listen, everyone, it doesn't take much. Don't overthink this thing, but you have to start. Good, healthy habits and discipline. Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, awesome. Now, we are almost out of time, but I'm keeping you on for our last segment here, and it is boost your awareness, thereby increasing your health and wealth. And you are going to share some tips on the wealth side of things. I mean, you've already done such a wonderful job, but just some take-home points.
Okay, that'll be wonderful. That'll be fun.
Your awareness.
All right, so let's get started. Boost your awareness, thereby increasing your health and wealth. And Mark Winsor is going to give us some tips on ways to improve your wealth this 2021.
Let's start with the foundation, shall we?
Yes.
Education. We live in this world of information, but information is not education. You can click a button and play on Google all day long and get a lot of information, but you may walk away at the end of the day with no education. And so educate yourself. That's why we focus on the financial side, on educating, the book, the series. But it's not just it has to begin with a professional generally, because you don't know where to start, and there's so much bad information out there. But once you're on a good path, be responsible to continue your education. We have sometimes really risky investments out there, but they look so good. They look so tempting. You always hear the story of this person who put money in Bitcoin or this or that and made all this money. Well, what you don't see is the stories of all the people who put money in and didn't make any or lost what they put in. And start with the fundamentals and the basics. So that's the second point. Start with fundamentals. Don't start with get-rich-quick schemes or try to make the triple your money in 3 days and all those kinds of things. Start with the basics, basic fundamental principles, and then I guess the next point that we'll just leap right to. I love this book that I read. Have you ever read Think and Grow Rich?
Yes.
And I got to admit, there's a few things in there I don't agree with. That the dude that was so determined to get somebody else's wife. I mean, that immoral stuff I just don't agree with. But the principle of focusing your mind on achieving something good and achieving it, I believe in very strongly. So there's a lot of things in that book that have helped me change my life. One of the principles of that book, and this has been a great blessing to me. Begin at once whether you're ready or not.
Yes.
Begin at once whether you're ready or not. In everything, when I go to mentor somebody and they come and talk to me and I tell them about what it takes to become a financial advisor and get licensed and those types of things, so many of them want to procrastinate that. They want what we have, but they don't want to pay the price that we've paid.
That's exactly right.
And in their minds, they think it might be easier next year. It might be easier next month. No, life doesn't get easier unless you make it easier. And many times we have to swim across the river to get to the green pasture. We don't just cross a little fence. And so begin at once whether you're ready or not. Be willing to pay the price to succeed financially.
Amazing. Thank you, Mark. Listen, it's been such a great pleasure. And I think that the take-home is instrumental. It's invaluable. And Mark Winsor is available. He has estate planning for $895. It's the best investment that I think that you can have in health and wealth. And this is the way that you can reach Mark and his group here locally. Thank you, Mark. You've been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm so grateful to be here. Of course, it doesn't cost anything to talk to me about financial principles. And appreciate all that you're doing on the health side, because they go hand in hand.
Awesome. Thank you. So listen, everyone, up next week is our celebrity, and it's Sidney Justin. He is the lead singer of The Miracles, and he is actually a Rams Super Bowl champion. He and The Miracles will be here next week. We are totally blessed to have him come on the show and give us his story and his journey and how he became successful in the ways that he's giving back. We're super grateful to have Sydney Justin on the show for next week, and we are out of time. So grateful to have you all tune in every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. at Dr. Nancy Knows Radio Talk Show. But remember, it's not only what I know, but it's who I know. And we will be back next week. So enjoy the rest of this weekend. Bye for now.
Optimal health requires you to perform at your peak potential. Start today. Be the change you wish to see in the world. This was Dr. Nancy Knows. Thank you for connecting. We're waiting for you on our next broadcast here at EMR, E Motion Radio.